Welcome once again to the shed, and if you was watching last week, well, I'm carrying straight on where I left off and getting on with the saddle and the carriage. So I'm just going to brush the carriage off, get most of this bits of shavings and shit off it, and then stick that straight in the parts washer and let it soak for a while. And then I'm going to get on with stripping down the saddle, and I'll show you what's entailed in that when I get to it. I'm pretty sure that screwed into these should be little felt wipers, but they're not there, so I'm just going to brush it down and chuck it straight in the parts washer. Now the carriage is in the parts washer. I'm going to get on with stripping him down. So taking this off, I've noticed there's a little tiny crack. It's not affecting it, not affecting the way it works or not, but it's something to keep an eye on. So I've got the lead screw and this hexagonal drive shaft away from the little end bit. So I'll clean these up. I'm not going to go mad with either of them. I mean, the lead screw's in pretty good nick. I'd like it to stay that way, so I'm only going to give it a bit of a wire brushing and a tidy up. So the next thing to do is start stripping the actual saddle down. I tipped it up just now and forgot there was oil in it. It's all over the floor now, being soaked up. I've never had this completely to bits before, so bit of a learning curve. So here it is, all stripped down into its component bits. Actual casting is now empty. I'll give it all a clean up and I'll explain everything a bit more when I put it back together, because that'd probably be easier. But for now I'm just going to get on and clean it up. So I've cleaned up the casting, it's come up quite well. I've ended up taking all the paint off it because the bottom was in the right state. I mean, the back of it, the sort of paint that's on it from the casting seems alright, so I'm leaving that. What has become apparent is that it has been repaired at some point, and there's a weld into here that's a bit iffy, but hopefully it'll be alright for a while. I never knew about it before I took it to bits, so it was quite clean inside where the oil and all the bits go, so should be alright. Right, well, I'm going to paint that and get on with cleaning up some of the rest of it. So this is something I wasn't expecting. I left the carriage in the, I left this soaking in the parts cleaner, and I've got the no nonsense degreaser from Screwfix in there neat, but it has acted like paint stripper on this, so it's a good job I wanted to take the paint off. Doesn't seem to have attacked that there so much, but every other face of this, all the paint was coming off, which is not a problem, but might have been if I didn't want it. Didn't want the paint to come off, that is. As is, done me a favour. So everything's cleaned up now. This is the casting, all been painted. It's come up quite nicely. So it's time to reassemble it. So I'll zoom it in and start putting it together and showing you what's what. So in the casting, this hole here and this one here, it goes right through the casting. That's how the power is transferred into the saddle. You've got the hexagon bar that fits directly into the gearbox, and this one slides up and down over the, this is the drive bar from the gearbox, and this one goes into this hole down here. This one goes, this one goes through the casting, and these worm gears mesh with each other, and this spline here is where the power is transferred into the saddle to give cross feed and longitudinal feeds when they're engaged. So I'll just stick these in. So I've took the circlips off that hold them. I'm just going to put a dab of oil on everything. This isn't to oil them. This is basically, it's going to be a while before I get all this back in and back on the lathe properly, so I just want a little splodge of oil on everything. Just to stop any surface rust forming. And that's it. So when that's turning, that turns that, and that spline then engages with the wheels in this casting, in this saddle, to give the power, cross feed and longitudinal feed. So the next thing to put in is this one. This slides straight through this big hole. Yeah. There's another bit of the casting there that it passes through, and then out the other side, and the hand wheel goes on here. This engages with the rest of the gears in there to link up with this one, which this one goes on to it's a rack and pinion to run the carriage up and down the bed via the hand wheel. A lot of these have got, some of these gears, some look brand new, some have got a lot of pitting. I've got a feeling this was left for a long time without being used, this lathe, at some point in its life. And where it wasn't moving about, the oil wasn't getting up, so you've got a bit of pitting on it. But anyway, it all works alright, so it's not a problem. I'll just squidge some oil on here for the same reason as before. Poke it through. And then this coil plug's got to just tap in. I'll tap that home in a minute. And then the hand wheel fits on here, which engages with this one. And this one just drops in. Put some oil on him. That will pop through when I bring the screws back out that I screwed down, which is what holds it in place. This grub screw screws down into a groove on there on the shaft of this wheel. And that's it then to engage, to give you your movement on your. So next up, this one. Now this is the one that gives the actual power feed to the cross feed and the longitudinal feed. This groove in here links with this brass square on the cross feed and longitudinal feed lever, which I'll be putting in a minute and show you, which just moves this wheel up and down this shaft. Again, we've got a little screw in here which I screwed down when I was cleaning it all. Alright, fig. Then I'll just put a little drop of oil on here. Fig, stop it. Shut up. Now go out. Telling you. That's it. That's down there. And that engages with the first ones I'll put in, and that's where it gets the power from. Quite simple, but very intricate. So now I need to get the lever in. Actually first I want to put the so this is the knob for engaging the lead screw for threading, and this pops through. There's no oil in this bit. This pops through here. I'm just going to have to scrape a bit of the paint off of this. Just scraped a bit of paint off of this one. As that don't go anywhere, I didn't bother to mask it up, but I didn't think the paint would make that much difference, but it does, because they all fit rather well. Anyway, so that comes through like that. And that's flush with air. You can see the grooves in it. That's what operates the half nuts. Screw the handle on it so that it stays where it is. Now this screw here is, these two bits here are going to go on next, and they give, I'll explain that in a minute, but this screw goes in and it goes into, see if I can get a close up. As you can see, this groove just here, this screw goes into that, which is also part of what holds the two brackets that hold the operating lever for the cross slide and longitudinal feed, and that limits the amount of turn that's got on it, which obviously I'll have to adjust when it's on the lathe. Get that lined up with it. I'll get that roughly where it goes. Right, so the next one to go in is this, which is the one that engages with this wheel, which moves backwards and forwards to engage either the cross slide or the longitudinal feed. Probably going to have to clear the paint out of this one as well. Yeah. I'll just poke him through. Line a little brass nut up. It's not a nut, it's just a little square, but have to put that on. I actually have to do these the other way round. I'm pretty sure that's it. Right. Now I'll get that. That's it. Now that's gone into it. Pop that back. Screw that retainer back down again. That's it. So now you can see that this rotates that backwards and forwards. I've rotated that too far. Rotates this backwards and forwards, which engages either the longitudinal or this comes back to engage the cross slide. I don't know if these are handed. I'm going to whip this out again. It's impeding me progress. Then this nut goes over this little adjuster screw for the half nut lever. Drop oil on that. Then this other one just clicks into the other side. That's them screwed on, this wheel back in, and this lever's working. The shape of this, the inside bit of that, gives you the stops. You've got a spring in this handle, you can pull it up and pull it down, and it clicks into when it engages with either the longitudinal or the crossfeed. Right, the next thing to go on is the half nuts. And they're held on with these little brackets. I'm just going to get this one out a little bit. Because this one's to be pretty horizontal to get the half nuts engaged. Like I say, I'll have to engage. I'll have to adjust that when it's on the lathe. But the half nuts just go into these sliders, and then these brackets hold them on. Now I've just got to find the half nut. Bolts. Right, I'll get this one slightly on. Obviously the half nut's a groove to go into these. Put it in the right way around. I'll just do them up. Got a grub screw here which fits into this little, this is where it came out of, this is where it's going back in, if my fingers will let me. And it just appears to go up against this bracket. I don't know whether that's to take up any slack in that or not. It's certainly tighter. Right, I'll tighten these up. The bottom one's already tightened up. Yeah, that is very positive now. Don't know how positive it'll be on the lead screw. Obviously I've got to get the lead screw on there. Right, I just need to get the hand wheel on here now. That's him. The hand wheel's back on. That's the hand wheel. So that's it, all back together with the hand wheel on. So the hand wheel just engages with the wheel with a pinion on it, which engages with a rack on the thing to run it up and down manually. Then that's in a neutral position. That would just be spinning, not engaged with anything. Then to get the crossfeed on it, bring it down to here, and then this wheel engages with the wheel, if you remember, on the crossfeed, which sends the crossfeed backwards or forwards, depends on which way you're going. And then you pull this, release that, pull it up. And then that wheel engages with there, and then that will engage the crossfeed, the longitudinal feed, sorry. And this little weld is definitely giving up the ghost. It's a bit of a bastard. More. Anyway, not to worry about that. I'll see if it bolts on alright without that, because there's plenty of bolts in it to hold it up. We'll have to see how it goes. Otherwise I'm going to have to try and do some sort of repair on that. Yeah, bit of a pig. But that's it. That's the saddle all sorted out. I'll give it a coating of oil before I put it over on the dun to go back on the lathe bench. Now I know many of you are pretty busy and whatever, but a friend of mine is just starting a YouTube channel. It's called Toddy Tackles. I'll try and put I'll put the name of it on this screen somewhere so you can have a look at it. So if you could find the time, if you could pop over to Toddy Tackles, have a look at his videos or one of them, and just give him a like and subscribe and help him on his way. He'd much appreciate it, and I would too. Right, so there he is on the dun bench, waiting to go back on the lathe. So my next job is going to be to tackle this gear. All that's going to have to come off, and the motor, and have a look at that and clean it up. But that's for next time, and that's it for this one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.